Hosted by Mike, the Big Cheese.
Take a spin on the wheel, your life's on the line. Will it ever slow down until you're out of time? Don't you realize the stakes that you chose into past? Don't you know what your brain is rushing roulette? Leather is so appealing, it makes people crave. Lust just melts you like butter and makes you slide. Take one on the other and you want to give. But together there's no telling how long you'll live. Leather and lust, don't you just treasure the feeling? Leather and lust, don't you find them so appealing? Come on, girl, you know we've got nothing to hide. Climb aboard now and we'll take that long ride. We've been riding solo till you scream in my ear. That gets me up and I'm shifting right into gear. Leather just moves you and makes you all want to see more. Lust just gets you all rolling on the floor. You've been rolling so long, now time for a breath. Hey, you better all stop before you screw to death. Ha ha! Leather and lust, don't you just treasure the feeling? Leather and lust, don't you find them so appealing? Better be led, you know this fast and easy down against your rest. You don't know what you because it's
All right, welcome back to the Heavy Metal Mayhem Radio Show. It is Sunday, August 28th, the last Sunday in the month of August, and I guess almost technically the end of the summer. Next week it's Labor Day weekend here in America, and we usually consider that the unofficial end of the summer season, even though we do have like another month of it left, but the weather is starting to change a little bit here. and not for the better, in my opinion. I'll take it hot as hell any day of the week. Yeah, it's a little chillier out today, but not no winter chilly, just a little chilly. But never mind all that. We got a great show for everybody tonight. Chris Boltendahl of Gravedigger is our guest. We'll be playing a couple of songs off the brand new Gravedigger record, Symbol of Eternity. We'll be talking to Chris, and I have to get all the guests lined up for September. In a couple of weeks, it'll be our 14th anniversary show. Who the hell thought we'd be doing this for 14 years, right? Even though we kind of took like a year and a half off of doing the live show, I just did mostly interviews. It's still 14 years of doing this. That's a long time. All right, John is here in the chat. I was going to open up tonight's show with a little Night Demon because he wanted to hear it, but he wasn't in there yet. So, John, I kind of held off until you got into the chat room. So, we'll get on some Night Demon. We'll do another little quick set after that. Then I think we're going to do 2 sets of brand new music. We got a lot of new stuff. Jolene Turner, some Raven, Savage Master, Desolation Angel. So maybe we'll get to that right after we play a few of, the old 80s classics like we like to do around here. But right now we'll do some Night Demon for John, his last day. This is a relatively new song too. Just came out a few months ago.
Dry land it will reclaim. Are you I close my eyes, the darkness reappears. There's been a change the past 7 years. Someone calls, could it be the sands of time? In the distance, the death bells chime. I'm in this tunnel, bright light at the end. I feel the force, my soul ascends. The time of judgment stares me face to face. Cold winds blow, please take me from this place. No, 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 I found the time and place. I cannot be cast beyond these gates. I know you're alive, I'm part of this game. Look in his eyes, hear him call my name. The master calls, he holds the key. I stop the drama with the stop on my eye. The end's alive, beyond the gates. The time is out, I try to wait. Read the time and I learn my fate. Beyond the lights, beyond the gates, the time is out, and trial awaits. Read the time and I learn my fate. Beyond the lights, beyond the gates, the time is out, and trial awaits. Beyond the lights, beyond the gates, read the time and I learn my I pass the gates, the book unfolds my fate. The master clearing my soul he takes. While the children eternal life for me through tribulation, sacrifice, and set us free. keep on calling. Fire in your eyes, burn in the you feel like hypnotized. Burn in the
All right, that was Mad Max with Burning the Stage. I remember when I first bought that record, I was expecting something a lot harder and heavier based on the name and the album cover. They were a little bit more in the commercial vein, but they were a good band, Mad Max. And right before that, what did we play before that? Oblivion Night out of San Antonio, Texas. Beyond the Gates, Attacks, Blood on the Moon. They just played live. Juan Ricardo has a whole new lineup behind that band. I mean, he's the bass player and the singer. I mean, Juan is in so many bands. I don't even know where to keep, how to keep up with them all. Sunless Sky. I mean, I can't even name them all. I mean, I have to make up a list. I got to reach out to Juan and have him back on the show. It's been many, many years since we've spoken. He's done so many things between now and then. We'll have to reach out to him and get him back on here again one day. And right before that, Night Demon. Thank God Eamon wasn't here. The last day. And we kicked things off with a little Hellstar and Leather and Lust. We're going to get to a lot of new music tonight. We haven't played a lot of new music in a long time. We mostly focus on the 80s around here, but we got a lot of stuff going on. Even though most of the artists are 80s artists, that's a pretty good thing, I guess. King Diamond's been doing a lot of interviews lately because they just wrapped up their tour here in the U.S. at Psycho Las Vegas. And everybody interviews him, asking the same thing. Where's Michael Denner? Where's Michael Denner? That seems to be like the one question everybody asks. And King's answer has been in every interview that this is not a reunion tour. We're picking up where we left off after the last Merciful Fate record, and that's the lineup that we're using. Even though Charlie D'Angelo is not in the band, but he's an arch enemy, so I get that maybe it was a conflict that he couldn't do it. But in the same sense, he says it's not a reunion tour. But then he says that Timmy Grabber was supposed to be in a part of this, but then he got sick and couldn't perform or play, so that's why he's not in this. So if it wasn't a reunion tour, why would you not go with Charlie? Why would you put Timmy in there? I don't get that. It's obviously there's bad blood between him and Michael, but don't say it's not a reunion tour when the entire concert, the entire run of dates on this tour, outside of that one new song that you kind of debuted, everything has been off the first three records. They didn't do one song off any of the later Merciful Fate records when they got back together with a different lineup, basically. Nothing was done off of those records. All been the first three albums. You were going to have Timmy in there. I don't know what happened with Kim Royce. I heard, that he's not doing good, health-wise, so he probably wasn't up to playing. So maybe that's the reason why he wasn't a part of it. But I was curious to see if he was even asked, or if they checked on him to see if he was able to do it. He just couldn't do it. I don't know. But that excuse doesn't fly. Don't tell me it's not a reunion when you're doing all the old songs and you were going to have Timmy be a part of it before he passed away. None of that makes any sense to me. I just think it's a load of crap in my opinion. I'm talking, and I'm probably one of the biggest Merciful Fate fans in the world. I got to be honest with you. I mean, I've got them pictures on all my jackets back in the day, my denim vest and my leather jacket. I love the band. I came into them before they even became Merciful Fate, when they were the Brats still. So I mean, I love these guys, but they should have did it. They should have did this the right way. It should have been done years ago when Timmy was still alive and healthy, and Kim was actually playing in another band. I can't remember the name of it. They did mostly cover tunes, but and they could have went out there and did this many, many years ago, but it didn't happen, and that's a shame because now we're denied that classic Merciful Fate lineup. What a shame. All right, I see Autograph has a new record coming out. Something that got by me too is Autograph, after the bass player Randy Rand died, I mean, he was the only original member left in the band. Steve Unger, who's been playing with Metal Church for many years now, he's the new bass player in the band, but there's not one original member in the band. Autograph is out there writing music, playing live, and recording records, but not one original member in the group. I mean, this is unfucking believable. I know I bitch about this all the time, and I got to compile an entire list of bands that are playing with no original members at all, and bands that are playing with one member who wasn't even a part of the original lineup. I would need a marble composition book, maybe 3 times over, to fill that up. And this to me is disgraceful, and this is what's going to kill metal. I mean, you see right now, like the Skull, which was Eric Wagner's band that he had for many years. They're out there doing a tribute show to him. You know, it was the anniversary of his death, so they're doing a tribute show. And I get that every now and then doing a tribute show, but now they're on festivals too. They're doing the same tribute show on festivals. It was a local thing, and now it's hitting the festival circuit. And have different people sing with it. I think the Pentagram singer, Regan, is actually doing the vocals for them. But I'm just saying, now you have, Steve Grimmett, who passed away a couple of weeks ago. They were supposed to play at the Keep It True Festival, Keep It True Rising, and they're still going to have Steve Grimmett's band there with different people singing as a tribute to him. Now, I think that's a cool thing to do, especially because he was supposed to be on that bill. But how long is it before that Steve Grimmett's Grim Reaper changes the name to ex Steve Grimmett's Grim Reaper, and they start playing tribute shows to him all the time with different singers? Is this where we're going now, where we're having dead rock stars, backup bands doing tribute shows to him with other people in there? This is, I mean, the way hair metal got so excessive in the 80s and became a joke, and that kind of was the death knell to metal, along with grunge coming out and just making it look ridiculous. This is going to be the next thing that happens. Mark my word. I mean, it is ridiculous to no avail. Like, with the Pantera thing. No, they're saying it's not a reunion, it's a tribute, but they're calling it a reunion everywhere you go, even members that are part of it. Now they're like, oh, well, we got Dimebag's, guitar tech in the band. And, is that supposed to make it more legit because Dimebag's longtime guitar tech is going out on the road? I'm pretty sure Zach Wild has his own guitar tech that he wants to use, but they're going to make him use this guy also besides his own guy. So it looks like, we got the backing of, his guitar tech. Who the fuck cares about his guitar tech? This didn't happen when Dimebag was alive, or his brother, when Vinny was alive. This didn't happen. You didn't see them going out there trying to do this when they were alive, right? It's just a joke, and it's getting worse. And I blame us, the fans, because we show up at these shows. We show up when Quiet Riot plays with nobody in the band. We show up when Autograph plays with nobody in the band. We show up for all these bands. People are going to show up in droves to see Pantera, that version of Pantera, which is really just Rex Brown if you go by the original members of the band or the classic members. Phil wasn't even in the band for the first 3 records. Let's be honest here. But people are going to go and pay to see that band play live, and that's why these things keep happening. Don't go, don't show up, don't support it, and let the fucking past die. I mean, the band's not around anymore, let it die. You know what I mean? It's like the Ronnie James Dio hologram shit. Just let it die. Ronnie's dead. He's not making music anymore. Let the whole thing die. He's got enough of a legacy out there musically to live off of for the rest of your life. Tons of records and music out there. We don't need to see holograms. We don't need to hear new versions of old bands. It's just fucking ridiculous, in my opinion. Especially when there's a lot of new bands out there that are still playing and active that can use our support. And we're going to get to a lot of those bands right now. Even though some of them aren't brand new, some of them are relatively new, some of them are old, they just got new records out. But let's do 2 back-to-back sets of brand new music. We'll do some Savage Master, Jolyn Turner, and Raven in this block. And then we'll pick it up again with New Desolation Angels, Acid Blade, and Hunting Party, which is Tom Hunting from Exodus's new band. It's not really a band, it's a little project they did of cover songs. I have to tell you, it's absolutely fantastic. And I'm not the biggest cover bands play. I'm not really like the covers, but he did a great version of a lot of them on there. And we're going to get Eastbound and Down, which is one of my favorite Jerry Reed songs. But we'll talk more about that when we get a little closer to it. So let's dig up some Savage Master right now. Let's get that on. And then we'll jump into some brand new Jolyn Turner. And I don't know if you saw the pictures of Jolyn Turner, but he's looking like Yul Brynner more and more. Hey, God bless me. Took the wig off, I guess, right? Here you go. Rain of Tears, Savage Master.
Thank
Then she came right back again.
Raven rocked this town. The Raven ever really disappoint? I mean, every record they put out is great, and you know it's Raven right off the bat. I guess because two of the three members are the brothers, and you know it's the guitar, vocals, and bass. So I guess any drummer could be interchangeable within the band. Even though I do miss the days of Wacko being in there. I was lucky enough to see Raven a couple of times with that original lineup. And what did we do right before that? Joe Lynn Turner, Belly of the Beast. If you played me that song, I have to be honest with you, I wouldn't even recognize it as being Joe Lynn Turner. It doesn't sound like him. The music isn't something that he typically does. It's definitely different, something out of his comfort zone, I think. I want to hear the rest of the record before I say anything else about it, but that song definitely didn't remind me of anything Joe Lynn Turner has done in the past, and it didn't really sound much like him. You know, it was a lot of the melody was missing, in my opinion. Maybe it was just because of the song. But Joe's a very melodic singer, and I just didn't hear it in that one particular tune. Right before that, Savage Master, Rain of Tears. We're going to get on one more set of new music, and then we'll get to an interview with Chris Boltendahl right after that. A lot of shows going on in Brooklyn this weekend, my old hometown, you know, of Brooklyn, New York. Anthrax and Black Label Society played at the amphitheater in Coney Island. I remember when I lived in Brooklyn back in the, you know, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s until I got married and moved to Staten Island. You know, that Coney Island Amphitheater, if it's the same one, it's the outdoor band show, I think, off of Surf Avenue. There used to be free summer concerts there, like every weekend in the summer. And you know, it was mostly like 70s bands that were kind of like, you know, not in favor anymore. At least back in, you know, in the 80s. I mean, you would see like, you know, ELO, not ELO, I'm sorry, I wish it was ELO, it would have been there in a heartbeat. But you see bands like, you know, I saw Bachman Turner Overdrive one week. The next week it was like another band. It was like a lot of those 70s AOR bands that like really weren't having. America played one week. The Guess Who. You know, there were a lot of like cool 70s bands. Like I really wasn't into them, but it was like a free show, and they were kind of rock. You know, now I love now I love it. But back then I was a metalhead through and through, and that's all I really cared about. But there were a lot of great shows there. But the Anthrax show was packed, a full house, which is nice to see. Even though I wouldn't have gone because I'm not really a fan of, you know, Anthrax today. You know, after Fistful of Metal, that was it for me. I think we had this whole speech last week, so we're not going to do it again. But you know, and Black Label Society killed it like always. And then Saturday night, I was going to head into Brooklyn. I made it to the car. I was like, you know, Mean Streak is playing with Sacred Oath and my boys in Attacker. And I was like, you know what? Do I really want to sit in traffic on the Brooklyn Queens Expressway and the Gowanus Expressway? I mean, you know, I'm retiring mostly because I can't take the commute anymore. I don't want to sit in traffic anymore. And to me, it's almost going the same way as I have to go to work. So, like, do I really want to do this on my one day off, sit in traffic and go to, like, this industrial neighborhood in Brooklyn? In Brooklyn, most of the shows today are in the Williamsburg, Greenpoint area. Now it's like Bushwick and Bed-Stuy, which, you know, back when I lived in Brooklyn, were not good neighborhoods. We'll just leave it as that. They weren't neighborhoods you'd go to during the day, never mind at night. They've been more gentrified over the years, and like I don't know what they call the kids today. I guess not the hipsters anymore, but the millennials have taken over those areas. So it's a different environment. But most of these places are like old garages, old warehouses. They convert into like these clubs. And, you know, there's like makeshift floors, and most of them like outdoors. They have like plastic tents over the ceiling. I heard that the place yesterday was like an oven. I turned back and I said, I'm not going to even bother going. I said, as much as I want to support the band and see Attack, and I really wanted to see Mean Streak, who I haven't seen live since the 80s, and it was the first show back together, I just could not sit in traffic and stand around in one of these industrial garages for like 3 hours sweating my ass off, so I didn't go. And I was looking at this, really, I have to admit, there's very few pictures or videos up of the show from last night. The few that I saw did not look like it was a big turnout. Maybe that's why there's not a lot of videos, because nobody was there. I mean, it is kind of a bad weekend, too. A lot of people away on summer vacation. The people that would be into this, you know, we're all in our 50s now with families, and they all go away. But it didn't look like a very big turnout, I have to say. But Mean Streak is going out on tour, I think, with John Petrucci. He's got his solo stuff, and they're going to be opening up for him, which is kind of convenient because most of those guys are all married to each other anyway. The Mean Streak guys and a lot of the Dream Theater guys are all married. So maybe I'll catch them on one of those shows. I think they're playing in Manhattan. I'll be there during that show probably. But I just couldn't do it. I mean, I just don't have it in me no more to go to these, you know, these shitty little dive bars and stand around for 3 hours. Plus, it was an early show. I think the first band was on at 7, and I think Mean Streak was either over by 10 or they just went on at 10 and they wrapped up by 11. So it was a very early show for like a weekend. Because like I said, a lot of these places, they convert to discos or dance clubs right after these shows are over. So that's what happens. But I didn't go. But like I said, I saw some videos of Attack and Sacred Oath, and they both sounded great. I got to reach out to Rob Thorne. I want to get him back on the show. We had him on here about 12 years ago, so I think we're due to catch up with the guy. see if there's anything happening with the band besides live shows. All right, let's do some brand new Desolation Angels. I think the only original member left in the band is Keith Sharp these days, the guitar player. Everybody else is relatively new. I mean, maybe within the last 10 years, most of them. Paul Taylor, I think, was on vocals for the last 2 records. So let's get us something off the brand new album. This is called Burning Black. I believe it comes out in November. I'll have to just double check that to make sure. But we'll do some Desolation Angels, and then what do we have after that? I'm getting all confused. I got so many things lined up I want to get to. Acid Blade, brand new Acid Blade, and then we'll do Tom Hunting from Exodus. We'll do Hunting Party right after that. So stick around. Here's Desolation Angels, Unseen Enemy.
Surround
There you go, Hunting Party. Tom Hunting with Eastbound and Down. As somebody who grew up in the 70s, I love Jerry Reed. And, if there's anybody I wanted to be back then, it was definitely Burt Reynolds because he was a man's man who took on everybody and got all the girls. So what preteen kid wouldn't want to be Burt Reynolds back then, The hat, the mustache. But Tom Hunting did a great job on that song. I think it's like a 4-song EP he put out. They do You Haven't Done Nothing, which was a Stevie Wonder song. The Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy. Jungle Love by Morris Day. And Eastbound and Down. And there are a lot of people that play on this record. James Arthur did the vocals on that song. Johnny Ryder's on here. Dan Lorenzo from Hades. DMC from Run DMC was on Jungle Love. Jack Gibson played bass on this song, Eastbound and Down. Like I said, a lot of people on here, and they just did a great job on this. And if you go and check the video out, the video is pretty cool because they had the truck, they had the car, Bandit's car, they had Buford D. Justice's sheriff's car, and Jerry Reed's truck, like on a Matchbox set, I guess, like on a little miniature racetrack, and it just goes around the racetrack over and over again. So it's a pretty cool video. Like I said, somebody grew up in that time, you kind of appreciate these things as you get older. All right, well, let's get on some brand new Gravedigger, if that sounds good enough, and then we'll talk to Chris, and we'll end it with some brand new Gravedigger. So how about we'll start it with Hell Is My Purgatory. We'll talk to Chris Boltendahl. This is off the brand new record, Symbol of Eternity. is a new record.
Okay.
What?
You want video interview or only with audio?
Just audio for the radio.
Okay, good.
So great job on the new record, Symbol of Eternity. I mean, Gravedigger never disappoints.
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, you would think after 42 years, 21 studio records, you would hit a roadblock, but you just keep managing to come up with new themes, new stories, or just straight on heavy metal records.
Yeah, because the reason is why we love heavy metal and we love to create new songs, to compose new songs, writing stories and going in deeper into history, like with the Crusaders this time again. And it makes so much fun. And yeah, it's a gift, you know. When I was a young guy, I want to be a musician, a heavy metal musician, and now I carry on this legacy now for 42 years, and that's the spirit behind that.
It's true. You know, when Heavy Metal Breakdown first came out in 1984, did you think that you would still be doing this all these years later with Gravedigger?
No, when I was young, I was thinking that I'd die with 30 years old.
God, well, I'm glad you
So,
didn't.
because of drinking and smoking weed and all this stuff. But now I'm 60 and I stopped drinking and smoking 22 years ago. And I feel much better than I felt in the 80s, you know. And yeah, I love my job and I experience new things so far. As you've seen that I mixed and mastered the new album by myself. And yeah, it was a learning process the last 2 years during the pandemic, and it was so much fun.
True. Yeah, but for people that don't know, you did do all the behind the scenes work on the record too, mixing, engineering, producing. Some people will say, you know, is it better to have somebody outside listening in that can maybe tell you how to change things around? But in the end, isn't it better that the person who is in charge of the band, who writes the music, knows exactly how the band should sound?
Yeah, I think that is the reason why I did it completely the first time by myself. I watched to the monitors and mixing decks so many years in my career, and now I'm able to do it by myself. And yeah, and I can bring it directly how I feel the music and how I feel Gravedigger sounds these days, you know, and that is totally perfect for me.
True. Do you think this new record is a follow-up to Knights of the Cross? Because it's still based around the Crusades and everything that went on with the Templars, but it is a different album. I mean, is it just a continuation of that record, what you didn't finish, or is it just a whole new story to you that you wanted to tell?
No, it's a completely different story, more or less. Uh, when we did Knights of the Cross, we followed the concept, the history, you know, exactly from all the centuries and all the stuff. And now I deal more or less with the legends, the mites, and the secrets of the Templars. And that is really interesting to go deeper in this topic. And I see myself a little bit like Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones. I call myself Indiana Jones of heavy metal, you know, telling the people good adventures, good stories, and yeah, it's brilliant. If people going deeper into the story with the music beside, and yeah,
True.
that's great.
You know, your storytelling is something that goes back many decades with the band, you know, to one extreme or another. And was there something that always interested you where, because not everything is historical. You also have stories that you've kind of made up based on mythology and things like that. But it's a great mix of history and myth together.
Yeah, for sure. But this time I could also add my opinion a little bit to the lyrics. Uh, how I told you, I'm a little bit like Indiana Jones, and I make it a bit to my own stories. You know, it's a bit historical aspect than the mites and the legends, and a little bit of Chris Boltendahl, and that makes it yeah, that makes it very heavy metal compatible.
Yeah. You know, most concept records follow, you know, like a very strict storyline and it tells the whole story by the end. Even though Gravedigger's music is based on a theme or a story, yet you've made it where each song is separate and stands on its own. And I think that's an accomplishment because they don't have to be played one after the other to tell the story. They're all individual songs that are composed to tell a story.
Yeah, that is the main thing what we have in mind when we write also a concept CD, because every song should be placed also on another record of Gravedigger, you know. And but the whole thing, it makes sense in the end as a complete concept. But every song stands for itself. But yeah, it's a complete work, master work. But at the end, you can yeah, put it on every other Gravedigger record, and it fits well.
True. I mean, the band has had a stable lineup for quite a long time now, and that's very difficult today to do because it seems like musicians are either just not dedicated to the man, what takes to be in a band, or they find other interests. Has that helped the band out over the last 10 to 15 years?
Yeah, for sure. To have a stable lineup is it's the essence of a band, you know. Do you know, one question for you? Do you know the most popular musician who is nearly playing now in every rock band, heavy metal band?
Who's now playing in every rock band and heavy metal band?
Yeah, it's a MacBook.
That's good.
So you don't need any musicians anymore because nearly 50% all the bands nowadays use backing tracks, you know.
True.
And you can replace everybody because you have your MacBook. He's the most individual musician on earth.
Oh God, that's funny. Well, I mean, listen, you were in this game long before there were computers and all the things that we had, the technology that we have today to help you out. I mean, do you prefer it the old way, or do you kind of adapt over the years to the way things are done today and kind of fall into it?
If you listen to a Gravedigger record, it's different to a Gravedigger live show. And I think that is important because why should I go to a Gravedigger live show when it sounds exactly like a Gravedigger record, you know? And you must feel the live energy. And on the records, we have a lot of background vocals. Live, we don't have any background vocals. Nobody in the band is singing, only me, you know? And I think that is important to show the fans a different side of the band. We have two sides, two faces. One is the studio and one is live. And I think that is important when I go to a band like Powerwolf, you know, and it sounds exactly like on the record. Why it is? Yeah, because why to work with with a couple of pre-recorded tracks, and they don't have a bass player, and yeah. But at the end, I think I'm old-fashioned. I'm old school in this opinion. I want to see a band like Van Halen with David Lee Roth. Also, when they did the reunion tour, he sings not very good in tune, but who cares? You know, it's Van Halen. He never sang into a good tune. You know?
True. That's true. Do you think that too many bands today rely on the technology to recreate what they do on album and they forgot what the live show is all about, the spontaneity? I mean, if you listen to some of the old Iron Maiden live records, you'll hear Bruce Dickinson's voice crack and mistakes that were made, and they didn't edit it out. They just let it be.
Yeah, it's human.
Yes.
Well, yeah, and when I record my vocals for the new Gravedigger album here in my studio, I had so much time. I did a song every 3 days, and my voice recovered. It was sound fresh on each record. And when I sing live, I have to do it for 90, 100 minutes, you know. And to the end of the show, I sound a little bit more crispy like at the beginning. But that is human, and that is live music, and that is the most important thing, to entertain the people. Huh?
True. And you've been able to get out there and play live again a lot this year. I know you have a lot of shows coming up, the rest of this month in September and going into October. It must have been difficult the last 2 years for a band whose whole thing is playing live, not to be able to go and play live anywhere because we were kind of shut down.
Yeah, it's On the other side, there are hard times. We're playing a lot of shows this summer. I think we start beginning of May, and we are playing till the end of October. We're playing around the world, start playing also again in South America. But on the other side, all the complete infrastructure of making music is so difficult. Start with the flights and with the personal, with all the services from other people. But we make it the best of it. But it will be in the future. It will be more hard. I think, especially here in Germany, when we go into the autumn and winter time. Yeah, it will be hard again, I think. But we are open-minded. We are positive. But it will be not easy.
True. A lot of bands have been very hesitant to book tours because they're still worried about a member getting COVID. And like I said, now we have, prices are going up. The airlines are becoming very difficult to fly on. And there's a lot of things holding people back. So is it better right now to focus on as many of the festivals as you can, where they're just one-off shows here and there, than actually book a very lengthy tour?
It could be the future that you play much festivals as you can, because touring is hard. Because imagine you are going on a tour, and the second day, 3 people in the band got COVID. The bus is closed, and the tour is finished.
It's
And,
true.
yeah,
So many bands out on the road right now, and every time you go to
yeah, a lot of bands stopped their touring because
saying,
going ill.
yeah, and that's got to be very difficult for everybody, especially the fans who are looking forward. I mean, like Gravedigger coming to the U.S. and you couldn't play because you were sick.
Yeah, it is a nightmare. With all you pay for the visas, you pay for the nightliner, and if you have to stop after 3 or 4 gigs, you are in a financial disaster. Imagine we have a next Saturday we have a show in Czechoslovakia, in Czech Republic, and they canceled my flights yesterday. Now we have to go with a car. It's 1,100 kilometers each way,
That's a lot of driving.
Yeah, there's a lot of driving. That is, it's stupid because you are going tired on the way, and but that is the airlines are messing up around now.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad lately. Chris, with like I said, 4 decades of doing this, you learn a lot in that time. I mean, if you look back in the entire career of Gravedigger, I mean, whether it was Gravedigger, Digger, when you changed over to Hawaii for a little bit, I mean, what was the one lesson that you learned that you said, you know what, I'll never repeat that and do that again?
Never give up and believe what you like and what you love.
That's great. And that is that what keeps the band going? Because I would think after all these years, you kind of know what you have to do, and you know what the fans want and what they like.
Yeah, I think that is the magic behind Gravedigger, and we had to have a really stable fan base, and the people can imagine or expect what they got from a new Gravedigger record, and I think we will carry on this way till we die, and the coffin is closed.
That's great. Every band when they start, they want to make a name for themselves. Whether it's for the music, they come up with a theme or something that brings attention to the band. I mean, when did you feel like Gravedigger finally made it, where people said they know who we are? We don't have to prove ourselves anymore. Or do you still feel after all these decades, you still have to prove yourself and prove who Gravedigger is?
Yeah, we don't have to show anybody outside more or less who we are. We are Gravedigger, and we have a standing in the heavy metal scene, and we do what we want. I don't know how the next Gravedigger album will sound at the end. Perhaps it will be different to the new one, because on one side we have sometimes we have a little bit surprises. I think now with my own production, it sounds more basic, more like the essence of heavy metal, of the Gravedigger music. And I think people can expect on the next one something different again, perhaps a new concept. perhaps a little bit more different musical direction. But at the end, it will be also Gravedigger, and that is the most important thing.
Very true. Is there some sort of story or concept that you have in your head that you haven't been able to put to lyrics yet?
Oh, not really in the moment. In the moment, I'm working on something different. I'm working on a solo album, and we are in the middle of the recordings, or more or less, we started with the recordings 1 week ago. And yes, it will be something different. It will sound like Gravedigger, but with a lot of metal church inside. I do this with different musicians, not with the Gravedigger musicians. So, yeah, working, composing. That is my life.
I was going to say a solo record. It has to be difficult for a singer, especially somebody like yourself who's so identified with Gravedigger, to do something a little different.
At the end, it's always sound a little bit like Gravedigger. When I sing on a Gravedigger record, it's 100% Gravedigger. If I sing on another record, it sounds Gravedigger with a different music. But the other guitar player I'm doing that he is playing different to Axel Red, and yeah, you will hear the difference when it will come out next year. That's cool.
I'm looking forward to it. Chris, I'm not going to keep you. I know you're doing interviews all day long today, but Symbol of Eternity, you did an amazing job on this record. On Rock of Angel Records, August 26th. I can't wait for everybody to buy this record. It comes in a lot of great packages and box sets. Everybody should buy a copy of this record.
Yeah, thank you so much. I love the record also, and I listened to it nearly the whole week. And from each listening to the next one, I find some new things on the album, and that makes it very interesting.
And everybody else will too. Great job, Chris. Good luck, and I hope I can see you here in the USA soon. I haven't seen you since 2016 at Webster Hall in New York City, so I'm looking forward to getting back to the country.
I hope so that we can do it perhaps next year.
That would be fantastic. Best of luck, Chris. Take care, my friend.
Mike, thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye. Something new, something old from Gravedigger. Off the brand new record, Knights of Jerusalem, and went old school over there with Let Your Heads Roll. All right, we don't have any guests officially booked for the month of September. I've been kind of slacking off the last 2 weeks, So it's lazy end days of summer. I have a couple of feelers out there for people. I think next week we might have Guy Mandude, the guitar player, on here, but I really have nothing permanent or confirmed. I'll try to work on that this week. We'll get some guests lined up for this month. Usually things just like roll in sometimes, and I guess this month they didn't, so I didn't make any effort. But we'll see what we can do. All right, let me see here. Kingdom Come got back together. They played it at the Sweden Rock Festival about a month or so ago, and they got a bunch of terrible reviews that they just didn't sound right. The drummer was horrible. They were all off. And really, it's mostly new guys in that band. James Kotak is on drums. They were saying that his drumming was horrific. They think he was, on drugs, or he was high again, or maybe drunk, and just wasn't playing right. So that was like the big talk. And now, like a few weeks ago, they have other shows coming up that were announced, and James is not going to be a part of those shows. And he says, don't even waste your time going to them. I'm not going to be a part of it. And this was like, I guess you're not in the band anymore. He's like, yeah, I'm still in the band. So if you're in the band, you're in Kingdom Come. And he says that he had cracked ribs, and that's why he was playing the way he was playing. The band is saying he's taking some time now to get himself right, get himself better. And I think they brought in Blaz Elias to play drums with them. But he was like, don't go. So if you're a part of the band and you have to sit out, for whatever, an injury, or maybe you're going through rehab again, I don't know what the man's issues are. I had James on the show. He was a funny guy. I had him and his wife, Athena Lee, Tommy Lee's sister, on there. And they were two funny people. They were married back then. They got divorced not long after that. But they were pretty funny. It's when they first got Kotak started, their other band. And he was still playing in the Scorpions at that time, James. Why would you tell people not to go see your band just because you're not in it? That's kind of like the stupidest thing I could ever think of. I mean, you just say, I'm not going to be part of it, but go out there and support the band. So I got a feeling he's out of the band, and they're going to try to go on without him. They just haven't announced it yet, but we'll see what happens. I'm usually right about these things, but give it another week or two. Wait till maybe these next couple of shows that they have coming up are over. Then they'll probably announce that James Kotak is out of the band. I guess I got to figure out how to get him out, even though he probably owns the name or whatever, because he's like, I think the only original member left in that band, if I'm correct, which would be about right, because it's usually the drum or the bass player that are just the last original members of a band. All right, let's get on some Metal Church. Talking about Metal Church, ex-Metal Church singer Ronnie Monroe. I love Ronnie Monroe as a singer. I was never fond of like his Metal Church era, and it's not Ronnie's fault. It just didn't jive with me. I just couldn't get into it. And I am such a big fan of the band, but Ronnie is now singing with Vicious Rumors. Vicious Rumors, about a month or so ago, canceled their European tour that they had set up. I don't know if it was this fall or the beginning of next year. And that was because, they didn't say why. They just was unforeseen circumstances. That's because they kicked the singer out of the band, or he quit the band, the newest singer they have. And honestly, I can't even keep track of who's singing for Vicious Rumors anymore. I can tell you it's Ronnie Monroe now. I know that, but I have no idea whatsoever who's singing with that band. There have been so many people that have come and gone through that lineup. I mean, Jeff, I think, is the only original member left in the band. I think maybe the drummer or the bass player might have been there since the first record. I'm not even sure, to be honest with you, but I can't keep track. But let's see what they do with Ronnie on vocals. I know Brian Allen, who was in the band for a while, is now singing with Trauma. And I finally heard the new Trauma song with him on, and it sounds nothing like Trauma at all. I mean, even Trauma's last record with Donnie Hiller didn't sound anything like, Scratch and Scream from the 80s. It was a different sounding band and album, but, if you were a fan of the early record, you kind of recognize the tunes just from, from his voice, from Donnie's voice. Donnie passed away about a year or so ago. Brian's on vocals right now. Nothing bad about Brian, but it just does not sound like Trauma to me. I don't even recognize the music, and it's said when a band that you were a fan of, at least that first record, then they kind of disappeared after that anyway. They just sound like a completely different band these days. All right, but you know what? They might have a whole new audience out there for them. Who knows? We'll see what happens. All right, let's do some Metal Church, Beyond the Black.
are getting older. Headlines longer. Feel the freezing rain. Is it fair? When does it end? Wish that I felt the sun, felt the world from the sand. That we walk along on a shadow on a forgotten shore, but it's gonna be alright. Ride the river somewhere way in this hard time. So you might as well be going, and you might see the break of day. Cold wind is blowing it all away. Oh, rolling through it all away. And one day, when you find all the answers are in your mind, when all is heard, please don't let time deny. Until now, nothing seems so right. Of thunder through my window, I can see the morning sun. New day, it has just begun. Long live the golden line that it has shone. Withered yesterdays, withered yesterday. We cannot pretend, never
Harder Attack with Nuclear Attack. I didn't want to play the instrumental, but I kind of clicked that one by accident and didn't want to stop and go over again. Right before that, Titanic with The New Day. And right before that, we did Metal Church with Beyond the Black. All right, we're going to wrap things up here tonight. One more tune. Like I said, I think we have Guy Mandude on next week, an amazing guitar player from back in the 80s who had his band named after himself for a couple of records. He had a re-release on Heaven and Hell, so we'll be talking to him next Sunday, I believe. I'm going to confirm all these interviews this weekend. There are a few in the pike that I'm working on, so hopefully I get that all squared away before next Sunday. We want to thank Chris Boltendahl from Gravedigger for being on tonight's show. And I will see all you guys next Sunday. If you're here, it's Labor Day weekend here in the U.S. A lot of people might not be around. But if you're not, enjoy your holiday weekend. It's the last 3-day weekend we're going to have for a little while. So enjoy it. Right now, we'll wrap it up with some Heretic and Portrait of Faith. Take care, everybody. Have a great week.
This is Debbie Gunn of Sentinel Beast, and you're listening to Heavy Metal Mayhem with a Big Cheese.